Margaret. I want to ask the Minister about the proposed changes in the external workplace investigation service framework, the firms providing the services and the cost of these services since 2012.
Minister.
Thank you. The Office of Government Procurement carried out a competitive tender process for the establishment of a framework agreement for the provision of external workplace investigation services available to central government departments and other public bodies. This framework is in operation since March of this year and will expire at the end of March. The framework suppliers for the delivery of services under this framework are as follows: Acrux Consulting Limited, Collier Broderick Management Consultants and Raise a Concern Limited. The OGP is presently facilitating competitions under this framework for both central government and non-central government public bodies. The OGP acts in an advisory role in this respect, but the individual public bodies using it are accountable and responsible for the competitions under the framework and any subsequent contracts. The number of investigations undertaken by each company and the cost of each investigation is a matter for the relevant contracting authority. The Office of Government Procurement are conducting a competitive tender for the establishment of new framework agreement for the provision of external workplace investigation services to replace the existing framework when it expires. This competition is presently being evaluated and the outcome of the tender process is now being awaited.
Thank you, Deputy Smith. 1 minute.
I assume that, according to your own Government Procurement Office, the reason that you outsource this service is because it has competitive rates, there's flexibility in the drawdown process to enable the end users to tailor their own particular requirements, it's user-friendly, standardised and improves workplace investigation quality. But I ask this question, Minister, because in common with a lot of the rhetoric around public procurement, the logic behind it is that it delivers better value, that it's more efficient, and it will bring external workplace investigation in a cheaper and fairer way. But we know from broadband, from the National Children's Hospital, from Cervical Check, that the rhetoric of private sector efficiency is collapsing in front of you, and that neoliberal ideology that underpins it is a nonsense, an expensive nonsense. And I believe that this is another example of the rhetoric that you give not matching reality. It's hugely wasteful, and I'll give you examples when I get a minute to come back to you as to why I believe that's the case.
Thank you. Minister, 1 minute.
The Deputy referred to neoliberal ideology. I'm not a neoliberal, but I do believe there is a role in looking at how we can get value for money and ensuring that there are a variety of organisations bidding to provide particular projects. I mean, you referred to where we are with the National Children's Hospital. That is a state-funded project that will be delivering services that will be available for our citizens and for young boys and girls. I would have thought that is the kind of essence of a public service you'd like to see improved, despite, I acknowledge, the great difficulties that we have had in the latter part of that process. If the Deputy has specific concerns in relation to this tendering process, I'm sure you're about to share them with me now. But we do have many examples of public services, of public transport, of roads, of primary care centres and the schools that are really well delivered via the private sector through a tendering process. And maybe the Deputy is suggesting that the government and the public sector automatically go ahead and build every project itself without any tendering process. I don't believe that's any more likely to lead to value for money than the kind of processes I think by and large do work for us.
Deputy Smith, 1 minute.
Existing HR capabilities within each department, and it is a role of the public service to provide HR in each department, and indeed we have the WRC which provides a HR facility. But the reason I'm concerned is that I'm aware of the firms involved, and you named them, and I'm aware of one of them which says to its customer, i.e. the department or the government, we guarantee satisfaction for employers. What does that say to workers, that satisfaction is guaranteed for employers, but not for workers from a firm who are supposed to be providing human resources. There is one case I'm aware of, and the investigation is being conducted for the last 3 years. The suspension of the staff involved has cost millions of euro, and other staff are feeling very aggrieved at that the process is being dragged out, and the individuals concerned, it's like having run your claw along my gut, because it is not being brought to a conclusion by these very efficient, competitive, outsourced HR companies that you are about to re-engage. This is not very encouraging for workers in the public sector. Anybody undergoing an investigation or a possible dismissal is very much in dismay about this. And I want to know, do you intend to continue with this sort of an arrangement, and what oversight on the costing are you doing to ascertain that it is in any way efficient or the best way forward for the public sector and human resources?
Yes, I do intend to continue to go ahead with this process. It's worth emphasising that these bodies and these organisations, if they do win the tendering process, they have to be in compliance with government policy, and the policy they operate will be government policy in relation to how employees or citizens are treated, not their own. And what we want as an employer is we want our employees, the employees of the state, to be treated fairly and impartially. Where people feel like they are treated fairly, and where they're done so in a way that's in accordance with government policy. That is the objective that we as an employer want met, I should say. And every time I hear the Deputy talk about employers, like, I get a sense that you think that employers are always pitched in battle with their employees and trying to get maximum advantage from them. We, as an employer, want to treat people who work for us well, and the companies that are employed in doing this will have to implement government policy.